Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP. Video by for you, and I thought to share where it's still certain that Nebraska is actually going to go bankrupt. This also got people like, oh, this is actually true. And these guys are not having it likely. They are so devastated. They are so surprised and so disappointed that Orange Man actually have to do this to them. They never thought that something like this was going to before them. I was able to put up some stage that just surfaced on a social platform, like it's actually a new, update concerning what is happening to Nebraska. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video, and let's dive into it.
So Nebraska, which is a red state, is still scheduled to go broke in 6 months, and the residents are very unhappy about it. And they had this to say.
So are we going to sit home on the couch and let these billionaires control the country? Hell no. We are the poor people. We're a red state.
Now, that was a 5-minute video that I cut down to that about 10-second clip that I just showed you, because what that man said in that clip was so significant. It really, really stuck out to me. The part where he said, we're a red state, really, really stuck out to me, and further reinforces when we always say that many people who voted for this administration believed that the policies of this administration would not affect they asses. Y'all fucked around, and now it's time for y'all to find out. Y'all voted for hate, even with the possibility that you might go hungry, even with the possibility that it might affect your health. Y'all voted for hate. Congratulations on getting what you voted for.
Nebraskans are pissed. Bigly Askins. The Askins are pissed. Nebraskans. No one wants to hear Farmer John with his butt crack showing, married to a Karen, complaining about losing your little farm when you voted for me. They don't feel sorry for you, and I don't need your votes anymore, so I don't care. Bigly. Nebraskans, what did you think was gonna happen? If all your workers were Mexicans and we got rid of all the Mexicans, who's gonna be your workers? Guess what? You can take a page from the book of the Native Americans, followed by the African Americans, Chinese Americans, Indian Americans. Listen, what we're gonna do is crash the economy so all the rich people can buy up everything for super dirt cheap, including your land, Nebraska farmer dude. I don't know. And once we buy it for dirt cheap, we will hire you to work on said land. Hello, this is a tale as old as time. We've done it so many times before. And the fact that you thought you were exempt is absolutely hilarious. Bigly, it's funny because you guys are really effing around and finding out. Decided to put a little pause on the tariff situation. Canada had a problem and we came in and helped them solve it. They had a problem that there were tariffs that they could not pay. And I said, I will be your savior. I will take the tariffs away. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you. Nebraska, I've actually sold Nebraska to Vladimir Putin. And we know I like to say Putin. That's my friend. In exchange for 2 new mail order brides that should be here by Thursday. One of them's gonna come with me into my forever cryo chamber where I will live in infamy and be the president of the United States for the rest of existence and time. Bigly. We're doing very well with Russia. Russia's really enjoying us and we're really enjoying Russia, and they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine right now. And I don't like the Ukraine guy because that guy is tan and he's kind of sexy. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't like that about him. Vladimir Putin is much more pale. He makes me look shiny and orange. And that's the kind of leadership that I really look up to. Bigly, I do. We're having a good time. Everyone's having a good time this pregnancy, and you guys keep trying to come and interfere with your world news and your disasters. We like a good disaster. It's good for the millionaires and billionaires because we can buy up everything dirt cheap, including labor, including you. We need a workforce. Too many of you farmers want to own your own land with government subsidies. Not anymore. Not anymore, not anymore. You got what you voted for. Bigley, you got what you voted for.
Now, the problem is President Trump's order to freeze most federal grants and loans has created a panic and uncertainty within the agricultural sector, which relies on billions of dollars in direct government assistance for loans, disaster relief, and conservation practices, many of which have been around since the days of FDR, and farmers have begun to rely on them. Now, if you've watched the news at all, you know that a federal judge blocked the order on Tuesday. The problem is, and what the media isn't telling you, is that farmers and ranchers over the last week to 10 days have begun to receive letters telling them that the government may not be able to live up to the promises they made in these signed contracts with farmers and ranchers to improve conservation and increase productivity on the farm. Sadly, I watched one cattle farmer video last night in the state of Missouri where he said that he's going to fall $80,000 short in funding because the government promised him that if he and his family invested in good conservation practices, they would support his efforts with grants and loans. He received a letter in the past 10 days telling him that they couldn't keep their promise even though they have a signed contract. And as a direct result, he's going to fall $80,000 short on his spring loan payment. And the only option he has.
Wyoming can't pay its bills. And the reason for that is their economy is shrinking. The freeze on foreign workers and the deportations have stopped people from coming to work. So cattle ranchers don't have people to work on their farms. Just overall, the economy is collapsing as a result of Donald Trump's trade policies and Donald Trump's policies overall, his economic policies. And so, as you watch Wyoming, just remember that that's the first domino. There will be others. There'll be other states that are in a similar situation. It might be Florida next as their real estate collapses. And of course, they started to experience this earlier on because of Florida policies about foreign workers. And so as the U.S. economy shrinks, the U.S. economy is going to shrink. We're going to see a situation where the U.S. government may not be able to meet its debt obligations. They will not be able to meet their day-to-day operational obligations. They already struggle to meet that. They borrow, right, to be able to cover it. But as their economy shrinks, their capacity to borrow is going to become significantly reduced. And when they are not in a position to actually meet their debt obligations, period, we are going to see significant problems. And if you were around in the 1970s and you remember what New York was like in the 1970s, New York was basically bankrupt in the 1970s. They sought a federal government bailout, never came. And it was a miserable situation for people. You can get a feel of where things are going to go and how it's going to be with a shrinking U.S. economy. As the U.S. looks inward, they will, they may say, look, we are self-reliant, and yeah, they may be self-reliant, but then they lose all of their business interests outside of the U.S., as we see right now with the boycotts happening around the world. So we'll see a situation where the U.S. is going to discover, unfortunately, a whole new way of living with much less. And it's going to be hurtful for Americans. I understand it. It will be awful, particularly for poorer people. Middle-class people will sink into poverty. People who are upper middle class may have to discover frugality. And it's going to affect the world overall. It's just the way it's going to play out. Now, the interesting thing is if you look at the historic parallels, if you go back to the unfolding of the Great Depression, if you look at the end of the Spanish flu, and you look at just previous downturns, this will be far worse than a downturn, right? Because most previous downturns are something that was either cyclical in the economy or because of some flawed investment scheme like we saw with subprime mortgages. Those were things that were not really structural, and that the rest of the economy was relatively strong, resilient, and could deal with it. But if you look at this, when it's really just structure, just destroying the underlying structure of the economy, it's the type of thing that can happen, and we see a lot of things happening much more quickly than they did in previous historic examples. So I would imagine, within 20 months from now, we are going to see, not just Wyoming, a lot of other states in significant financial problems, cities facing significant financial problems as the tax base shrinks, as the economy shrinks. And overall, the U.S. federal government no longer able to generate the income that it needs to be able to do the things that it needs. So if you think the cuts that are happening now are significant. They're the ones that are triggering a lot of this, right? Taking all those federal employees out of the workforce and taking away their paychecks and having those paychecks being spent in the community. That's a significant thing. But if you think that's bad, just wait until you see the snowball effect that happens when the feedback loop that happens when more and more people lose their jobs. And it will happen quickly because everything seems to happen more quickly these days than it did before. These are troubling times.
Okay, so let's talk about it. Let's talk about what's going on with the tariffs and what's going on with the state of Nebraska, which I am from. Okay, I'm noticing a trend right now of a lot of things. When people talk about Nebraska, some people are saying that their stuff is getting removed, it's getting banned, it's whatever. Okay, but I want to talk about something. First thing I want to talk about is, Nebraska is going to go bankrupt in about 6 months. Nebraska, the state that relies on their agriculture to sustain the way of living. Okay, Nebraska. There's a lot of farmland in Nebraska, and Nebraska has been notoriously Republican for quite a long time. There's only subsets of cities that ever really vote Democratic or anything like that, like in Omaha, and so forth. But the Nebraska, the place that relies on their agriculture for any type of profit, is going bankrupt. One of our senators, Pete Ricketts, is kissing boots right now to the Trump administration as we are heading towards bankruptcy in about 6 months. I'm sure you have heard people talk about it, but I want to make it clear that right now, even though my state is on the decline and we have 6 months before we file bankruptcy, I don't want to hear a single one of y'all getting on this app right now trying to monetize off you regretting your vote. I don't want to hear it because your racism. One, you, somebody who owns farmland, who relies on migrant workers to do all of these jobs because you don't want to hire an American because, as you stated multiple times, that we're lazy, slow, and we want too much money. The same people who rely on migrant workers turned around and voted against their best interests, and now you have ICE doing sweeps and shit over here on a regular. And you're running around complaining. Now you're going to town halls. You're screaming. You're yelling. You're crying. You're fussing. For what? For something that you did? This is not the F around and find out anymore. Okay? What happens every time when it comes to Republicans is y'all constantly vote against your best interests and then want people who have socialist ideals and mindsets to come in and fix it so you can benefit and then turn around and complain.
You want to get rid of illegal immigrants, quit eating. And that's for everybody. That's, nationwide. If you want to get rid of them, quit eating. That'll solve the problem.
But when only 5 pickers showed up this morning to harvest his sweet potatoes, farmer Keith Smith saw possible ruin, the loss of his $500,000 crop.
They're running scared because of this new law.
And you're in trouble.
I'm in trouble, bad trouble.
Smith's 200 acres need 20 pickers, mostly Mexican nationals.
There is not enough documented people here to supply that workforce.
Most of your workers are here illegally.
That's sure. If they got documentation, they got a better job than working for me.
Fernando Aldeman, a Mexican national, has worked Smith's farm since 1992.
Everybody's just scared.
Yeah.
Now, are you here legally? No.
No.
So, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared. I'm scared,
Smith's pickers make about $100 a day. He supports immigration laws, just not this one that threatens his third-generation family.
Good afternoon. I want to read my poem to you today, called Yoked by Your Own Rope. It's funny watching Nebraska go broke. Do we care? That's called woke. That's a feeling they voted to revoke. Ugliness, thick enough to make you choke. Y'all missing them immigrant folk? Australian fellas call you dumb blokes. Your racism wasn't even close. We sitting back now, watching you soak. Now hate got you bent and yoked. It's kind of funny, but it ain't no joke. Other states got trouble. They smell smoke, begging for martial law. just to provoke. The fall been steep. With each pen stroke, reap now what you sow. Ain't no scapegoats.
Nebraska's biggest part of their economy at GDP is farming.
Right.
And they said 45 to 65% of the workforce is undocumented.
45 to 65%?
Yes. So,
shit.
with Trump rounding up illegals, what have those illegal immigrants done? They jump ship. They don't want to get raided while they're working. They don't want they don't want to get families broken up. So now, so they predicted that Nebraska is 2/4 away from being bankrupt. The whole state, because there's no workers. Half of their workforce is undocumented immigrants. So now Nebraska is in a panic, is in an uproar. And most of them, farmers are Trump supporters. They got exactly what they voted for. If all these illegals were taking your jobs, why don't you go fill and do the shitty jobs they were doing for less than minimum wage? If these illegal immigrants were taking your jobs, there's all these jobs available. You can do it. To work slave hours at slave wages, you can do it. They literally bit their nose and spite their face. Like, they directly voted to deport the illegals, and now the illegals, they didn't even wait for deportation. They working somewhere else. I hope they don't want any government handouts, because that's socialism. They hate socialism. Hope they don't want any government handouts. Put yourselves up by your bootstraps. What's going to end up happening is these corporations are going to come buy your farm, and you going to work that farm. And you're going to be working for the corporations. They're going to buy it for pennies on a dollar, and you're going to be working your farm, and you're not going to own it no more.
So these people actually thought that because they are red states, nothing of such might actually be for them. Like, this is just the problem that everyone that actually voted for Orange Man actually have. So many of them never thought that whatsoever is going to be for them. That is why they never cared. They decided to, like, okay, even if they know deep inside of them that this man has something that is not very transparent. Even if they knew deep inside of them that this man might actually do something which will benefit those people the most and not benefit this other person. But they decided that they can still go ahead and vote for him because they feel that they are not going to get involved or it's not going to affect them. Okay, look at these Nebraska people. So they thought maybe because they are red state or whatsoever shenanigans that is going with Orange Man's policy is not going to have any sort of effect on them. The same thing that these undocumented immigrants that actually thought that they are whitewashed also thought. So many of them, voted not because they knew that, this person is the man for the job. They knew that, he's definitely going to make some people's like miserable and all of that, but they never believe that they might also be included. This is just the problem with MAGA supporters. So many of them knew his kind of person. They know his personality. They know what he's capable of doing. But they never knew that it was going to affect them one way or the other. They thought that it was just going to affect probably people that look like me the most than every other POC people. So an average pan-color person actually thinks that all of his policies or whatsoever that is going to go on in his cabinet is not going to have any kind of effect on them because they happens to be the majority or they happens to be the hierarchies. But with them not knowing that it has gotten beyond you being a majority or minority. This is something that has to do with the poor and the rich. Like, I think he has the kind of America that he wants in mind, like where there is a gap between the poor and the rich, the rich, which happens to be him and his other friends somewhere, which has then the poor, which might go to the farms and do all those farm work. This is why with your $5 million, even if you are not someone who is from the United States, you're automatically a citizen that if you want. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the idea he has nothing to do with you being there or there. it is more than what you thought. It is more than what you are. Like, so many people are just so disappointed. So many people are regretting their actions right now because they never thought that any of these things are going to get them affected. Do you know why they actually want to go ahead with this 5th April shenanigans protest? Because it's beginning to affect them. Even if it's not affecting them, it's affecting their relative, their well-wishers, their friends and families. That is why you see most people coming out to spill. Okay, let's just take for instance, this all of the things that is happening is not affecting tan colored people. Do you think that they are going to come out to start ranting? The only thing that they will have to do is that they they will just keep quiet. Why people that looks like me keep ranting? And only thing that they will have to do is to project one scenario that, oh my god, you complain a lot, you like to be oppressed so much. This is the statement they all often put out there anytime people that looks like me want to complain about the injustice that is being hate towards people that looks like me because of maybe their skin color or whatsoever. They try to like look at you as someone that complains too much, like there is nothing anyone would do for you that will make you feel that this person is doing his or her best. But now that it has everything to do with everybody, both blue, yellow, black, red, purple, and all of that. Unless if you're super rich, you see everyone is complaining, everyone is coming out for 5th of March. Not only are they coming out or they want to go for this protest, they want to also drag people that looks like me to go on this protest for them, so that in case anything happens, they will look for a way to transfer the aggression on people that look like me, claiming that they are the reason why things have turned you know south or sour. That is why people that look like me are standing up business, because they have learned the hard way. They have been disappointed multiple times. They don't want to get disappointed anymore. That is why they are standing up business and allowing you, who happens to be the majority and who has this why women tears of a thing, to go do the job. Look at Nebraska people. They're all out here talking about how they are red state. They never believe that this is going to happen to them. Anyways, anyone that F around, they are going to find out. Elon is finding out, or Eliana is finding out. So as Nebraska, so as Hispanic, Cuban, and whatsoever people that never listen to people that looks like me. These people were like they've passed through a lot. 400 years of oppression, of enslavement and all of that. They are telling you to do things like this. You think they don't have any form of experience and idea. Instead of you to listen to these people, you anyway, lovelies, wanna just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We're just here for educational and informative purposes. So guys, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, and I will see you lovelies when I upload the next one.